Guys, it's possible that a member of the Avengers is already a Skrull. We gotta talk about this. Hey, real quick, if you're one of those people that watches my videos but isn't subscribed to this channel, you should do that. I heard that if you do that, you get good luck or something. Alright. Guys, ever since it was announced at San Diego Comic-Con that the Skrulls would be appearing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as villains, I have thought, as any self-respecting nerd would think, wow, it's possible that there are members of the Avengers right now that are Skrulls. That would be pretty stinking crazy, and I started to think about which Avengers would make sense to be Skrulls if they were Skrulls this whole time. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my top 3 candidates for people in the MCU that could be Skrulls. But I want to start with a small disclaimer. I actually do not believe that Marvel or Disney would allow any of the major solo characters to be Skrulls, because it would create that Lost effect where the stakes really no longer matter. It would basically cheapen any character that has had solo films, and it would also cheapen the character interactions that they had after their solo films and the team-up films. So I'm pretty sure anyone who has had a solo movie in the MCU is probably safe. They're not going to be Skrulls. However, there's one exception to that, which I'll go over very briefly at the end of the video. But let's get into the top 3 candidates for me as far as Skrulls in the MCU. Now, let's start with the first one, which I think is the most obvious answer, and that would be Black Widow. Now, Natasha has been a part of the MCU for a long time, and she's had ties to S.H.I.E.L.D., to Russian organizations with the Red Room, to a lot of different intelligence agencies that would make her a very valuable asset as a sleeper agent. On top of that, she has a great ability of getting very close to different members of the Avengers team. She has her thing with Hulk, her thing with Captain America, her history with Clint, and for whatever reason, she hasn't really done anything with Thor, which is crazy because he's probably the best looking, most powerful one, but whatever. So she's had a lot of relations with the Avengers, which could be explained by her trying to learn more about them as a sleeper agent for the alien race of the Skrull. I absolutely love the idea of her being an alien spy, playing a human spy that's also a human spy, or whatever that is, whatever her status quo is. Nah, who cares? I mean, it's a cool idea, right? It could basically, expound upon the character that they've already introduced, which would be really interesting and recontextualize a lot of her scenes in the MCU. Now, of course, she has never had a solo film, which is good, but she is loved enough by the fan base to make her being a Skrull a big deal. It would upset some people, it would freak some people out, and it would definitely change things, which I think is exactly what you want to do if you're gonna go ahead and retroactively make one of your actors a Skrull. I think she's a safe one to do it with. Now, moving right along, the next most likely candidate is Hawkeye. Okay, now Hawkeye, similarly to Black Widow, has been a part of the MCU for a long time. He's had ties to S.H.I.E.L.D., he's had ties with Natasha and her past and different interesting things like that. So once again, could be a great sleeper agent as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., as someone who has joined the Avengers and gotten close to different members of the Avengers. And, as far as his family is concerned, they could all be Skrulls as far as I'm concerned. That would be whack and pretty ridiculous, and totally recontextualize that scene in Captain America Winter Civil War. But there's also the fact that he's just way too goddamn good with that bow and arrow. I mean, this is something that's been memed online. It's a big deal when it gets memed, guys. People are saying, wow, he only has a bow and an arrow. How's he able to do all this stuff? He's literally fighting all the Chitauri at the end of the Avengers, saying that he's fighting with a bow and arrow, and it's crazy and it's awesome. But a great little retroactive explanation for that would be the fact that he's an alien warrior and maybe even proficient in archery as a Skrull. That would be pretty ridiculous. And by the way, guys, that's the second time I've used the phrase retroactively change, and that's basically what happens in comic books a lot with retcons. They're called retcons, and that's short for retroactive continuity. They take things, reshape them, and give them a new context with a big reveal. This is exactly what the MCU just did by making that young kid in Iron Man 2 Spider-Man. He wasn't Spider-Man when they wrote that scene, but it's retroactive continuity. It makes sense, it doesn't break anything. And that's what they would do with the Skrulls, I think. So I think that Hawkeye could, similarly to Black Widow, be a great candidate for that. Now, let's talk about the last person, and probably the best candidate on this list for being a Skrull. And this guy's not actually an Avenger, but he's been a part of the MCU for a long time, and that would be General Thunderbolt Ross. So he was once again another early addition to the MCU. He's seen a lot of cool stuff, and I actually think it would be amazing if he was working on the super soldier serum with both Hulk and later Abomination to create some kind of a weapon for the Skrulls. That would be amazing, and it would parallel what the Kree did with the Inhumans when they were messing around with humans to make the Inhumans. It's once again the aliens coming to Earth, seeing these primitive, warrior beasts and weaponizing them and trying to use them for battle, which is kind of a really cool idea. It would kind of be a weird take on Hulk. What if there's some kind of Skrull stuff in Hulk? That's kind of an interesting, weird take on it. But either way, I think that it makes a lot of sense. It would also explain why Thunderbolt Ross is such a big fan of the Sokovia Accords and why Marvel decided to bring him back into that role and put him back on the screen for such a large movie. I mean, think about this. If you're a Skrull invader and you're trying to soften up Earth for an eventual invasion, then you want to do something that fractures the force known as the Avengers, and you definitely want to do something that will keep tabs on all of the Avengers. This would also make Captain America completely right for not trusting the Accords in Civil War, but I just think that's the coolest thing ever. If General Thunderbolt Ross is indeed a Skrull, it would be incredibly satisfying and such a cool little nod to the earliest parts of the MCU. Now, quickly, let's talk about the one Avenger that would make sense to be a Skrull in the current lineup that has had solo films. Now, this to me would be Captain America. Now, before you jump down my throat, let me give you just a couple reasons why I think this makes sense. Currently, Marvel Comics proper is making boatloads of money off of nearly bastardizing Steve Rogers' name and turning him into a Hydra agent. It's highly controversial. It is like making Superman bad, and things of that nature that twist your core characters definitely get a lot of attention and a lot of buzz. Also, the Captain America Skrull played a crucial role in the actual secret invasion event, which would be a nice parallel if they brought him in. Now, here's the thing. As I said at the beginning of the video, I don't think they're going to do this with any of their main characters, but there is a way that they could do it with Captain America that would make a lot of sense in the narrative. And it has to do with the fact that he comes back after being missing with this beard, and by being this nomad type character, it's possible, especially if there's little hints towards changes in behavior in Infinity War, that he is a different person. Quite literally, he could be a Skrull. So I would definitely point to Infinity War as being the way to bring the Captain America Skrull into the playing field. We think that after the second part of Avengers, Infinity Wars, which would be Avengers 4, that there's going to be some kind of a reset, whether soft or hard, for the MCU. The status quo is going to change. And so if the Captain America after that is a little bit different, man, it's pretty possible that they have replaced him with a Skrull. As I said, I think the Skrull are going to play a part in Infinity War Part 2 or Avengers 4. I think they are doing a version of Jonathan Hickman's Infinity in which the Skrull and the Kree team up with the human armies, and they go and they fight these things called the Builders. I think they're going to do a version of that, but fighting Thanos. And so the Skrulls are going to play this big role, and you could see a setup in Phase 4 for Secret Invasion when they all go back to Earth. Maybe it's the Skrull Captain America. So that's my one exception to the rule, because I think it would make a lot of sense if Cap's been away for a while, or if they want to change things up, give Chris Evans something really pithy to do as an actor, that they could make him a Skrull. It would also make a lot of buzz, just like Hydra Cap. Whether you love him or you hate him, he's making some noise. So that's all I wanted to do in this video, guys. Let me know, who do you think is going to end up being a Skrull, if anybody, that from the MCU that we currently have? As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and nerdy day. See ya!